Rick Lanzis, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Jessica Williams with the City Attorney.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Susan Renner, City Clerk.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
Mike Warrington, City Council Member.
All right, and tonight we're going to have Denny Dartry with Church of God. Was I close?
That's good.
All right.
That's close. Close enough. I got it. Thank you guys so very much for allowing us to come in and be a part this evening. So let's bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, we thank you for this call to order, this time that we've been given. And I pray, oh God, that you would give the leadership here wisdom and a spirit of understanding. Open our eyes and ears to hear what would be best for this community, both today and down the road. Lord, we need vision and just a sweet spirit of understanding tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Man, thanks, sir. At this time, join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. At this time, we'll open up the public forum. If you have something you'd like to say, state your name, your address, and keep it short, please. Nobody? All right. Public forum's closed. Acceptance of agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 7, I already did that, Ronnie.
No, you didn't.
8, Summerlin Edition.
Mayor, you're right.
Oh,
Seven.
was I? I'm sorry. Consent agenda, two different things, right?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.3 as presented.
Second, Troy.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Now we're at number 8, Summerlin Edition, final planned unit development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The subject properties are located south of 21st Street North along the east side of 159th Street East, just south of the Quail Crossing addition. The applicant seeks to develop 33 lots on just under 11 acres of property. The final PUD is located in Parcel 1 of the Summerlin Addition Preliminary PUD Plan. The properties are zoned SF2, Single Family Residential Medium Density, which is intended for low to medium density residential neighborhoods. The subject property receives existing water and sewer service from the city of Andover and access on the western side of the property on North 159th Street East. The subdivision committee reviewed the final PUD plan at their February 11th, 2020 meeting. And then the plan was subsequently approved by the Planning Commission on their February 18th meeting in 2020 as well. That concludes what I have for you this evening, and I'm available for any questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the dedications on the Summerlin additional final planned unit development plan as approved by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
8.2 petitions, developer agreement and resolution of advisability. And Rick Landsworth will tell us about that.
Mr. Mayor and council, as normal recourse when we go through a subdivision like this, you've just approved the final plan unit development. Next in line is the standard, which is petitions, developers agreement, and resolution of advisability. Am I on the wrong one? No, you're on the right one. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I heard the wrong one in my ear. Got me confused. So I would point out on this one, this is 100% petition is assessed to the property owners. This is not, the city does not have any participation in this particular petition. If anyone has any questions, I would try to stand for the questions.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one question. I'm thinking this might be more for Donna, but if you look under average monthly assessment, there's two different ones. There's 3% and 4%. Are we expecting that to go up any higher than, because I'm assuming that's the percentage charge that we charge.
We don't expect it to go up.
Okay, just the way interest rates are going. Okay.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the petitions for paving, sanitary sewer, stormwater drain, and water improvements, approve the developer's agreement, and adopt a resolution of advisability related to the Summerlin addition.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 8.3 work ordinance. Rick's going to talk to us about this as well.
So with the action you just took, the next line of recourse would be to adopt an ordinance authorizing the construction of the improvements through the work order. And this is what this is. If you have any questions, I would try to answer this.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt an ordinance authorizing the construction of certain internal improvements related to the Summerlin addition.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 8.4 engineer design and construction phase service agreement. Again, Rick will speak with us.
So the developer's engineer during the plating was Baughman Company. Is their standard practice to go ahead and enter into a contract with the developing engineer to go ahead and work on the public improvements. And before you is an agreement for such work.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the agreement with Baughman Company, PA, Wichita, Kansas, for engineering, design, and construction phase services for the public improvements related to the Summerlin addition in the not to exceed amount of $218,300,000. Did I say that right? No. Did I say it right? $218,300. Sorry.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I've got a question maybe for Les. Is there another development right there, either north or south, that was going to be platted for like 10 homes, or am I just misremembering the area?
North or south of Summerlin?
Yeah.
No,
No? Okay.
there are two 10-acre tracts adjacent to the south of Summerlin, and to the north is Quail Crossing addition.
So on the south side, those 2 10 acres, they're not slated to be any kind of
Not that I
housing or
know
anything?
of.
Okay.
So is there 68 plots altogether on the two, there's two different tracks, right? Or not? One showing 33 and one showing 35. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my mind around it. It's not important.
35 was the original plan.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That the property was sold to a different developer, and the new developer dropped out 3 lots that were around an existing house and shop building from the only change in the plan.
Thank you. Got myself sidetracked.
I helped you with that. Thank you.
All right. Pardon me?
It's Homer's fault.
Yes. Spy side, am I saying that right?
Speyside.
Speyside at Teradyne Estates. 9-1 petitions agreement. Petitions agreement and resolution of advisability.
Mr. Mayor, Speyside, it was the original petitions, developers agreement, and work ordinances were brought before you back in December of 14 of 21. As normal, we go through the design process, we bid. And as has happened here recently in a few things, the bids came in and exceeded all the petitions. The developer repetition, which you guys are probably starting to get a little too unfamiliar with the process, where we have to go back and reapprove the petition and developers agreement, resolution, advisability, work ordinance before we can actually award the bid because of the petition limits. In this particular case, the developer and the contractor came into an agreement to do the highway dividing wall outside of so that work has just kind of been slid out of the bid, reduced the bid amount down because they were going to do that outside of the petition. Other than that, if there's any particular questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
will that wall that's separating or coming out of the equation, will that still get approved through another way, or is that with this as far as site plan and that kind of stuff? And
If they build it
zoning?
exactly the same, it's got through the approval process, it would just be the contractor and the developer would work on paying for that between themselves. It is not a required function necessarily of the items. They may choose to build it differently if they chose to go a different route. And depending on what that looks like, they may have to go back through another approval process for that.
Thanks, Rick. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the revised petitions for paving, sanitary sewer, stormwater drain, and water improvements, approve the developers agreement, and adopt an amending resolution of advisability related to the Speyside at Teradyne Estates.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 9-2, work ordinance. Rick again will speak with us.
Again, this is just a new work ordinance to match the new petition developers agreement.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Donlinger and Sons Construction Company Incorporated, Wichita, Kansas. Oops, my bad. I move to adopt an amending ordinance authorizing the construction of certain internal improvements related to the Speyside at Teradyne Estates.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
nay. Motion carries 6-0. 9-3 bid award. Rick again will talk to us.
I would like to point out on this that this is one of the projects that is 100% assessed back to the property owners, and the city does not have a participation in this. Other than that, it's a pretty standard development type of specials and contract.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Donlinger and Sons Construction Company Incorporated, Wichita, Kansas, in the amount of $1,030,847.15 and reject all other bids and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the public improvements to serve Speyside at Teradyne Estates.
Second, Troy.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 10-1, Fire Station Number 2 bid award bid package. Chief Russell will speak to us about this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. What a breath of relief for your fire chief. We recently had the bid opening for the package 2. This is the final package for Fire Station 2. Just to catch everybody up, if folks are just tuning in, this is a culmination of years of planning Last year, we had a sales tax election, and a piece of that sales tax is going to this fire station project to pay the bill. Recently, at a meeting, we had the package one for infrastructure, steel, some undergrounding, things like that, at $2.4 million. This package comes back to finish the project at just shy of 4.1 million. And before I ask Wade to step up from Crossland, I'm going to steal his thunder. This puts us at $839 under budget. And people often giggle when I say that, and that was my giant sigh of relief. So Crossland and the entire team has done a really, really good job of staying in budget. So with that, I'll turn it over to Wade Siebert from Crossland so he can give you some details on the bid.
No, thanks for having us tonight. Excuse me. So Chief, thank you for that introduction and good job on describing that. Just want to say that this is our second bid package for fire station number 2, which brings us in on our budget price of $6,514,985 for fire station number 2. We'll be back before you on the 29th with our bids from fire station 1, which go out next week. And the budget for fire station number 1 is $1,719,381 for our total construction budget for the overall project of $8,234,366. So if anybody has any particular questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Wade, I do have a question in regards to the budget summary A2 at the end of it. It talks about contingency and or the insurance. Does any of that come back if, I mean, there's like, what's the insurance for as far as, I think it's general liability insurance, builder's risk insurance, and then the payment for performance bond?
Correct.
Does any of that stuff come back once the project's successful?
If we don't spend all the contingency, whatever percentage is left, based on that leftover amount would come back to you. If that makes sense. So those amounts are based on us spending all that contingency amount of the 125 and some change 2 times, once for construction contingency, once for owner's contingency. So those amounts assume we're spending all that. If we don't, then you would be credited those percentages shown off the returned amounts.
But what's the contingency for?
Unforeseen conditions, things that the chief or the city wants to add to the project.
If I can jump in, the biggest thing I want the contingency for is not so much for fire station 2, because I've never done that before. So I'm really counting on the team around me, but I'm more worried about the remodel project. I don't know if anybody's ever done a remodel. I've done a few, and not a few. I've done a couple, and there's always unforeseen stuff. You take that wall out and go, holy cow, I never knew that was there. So that's what I'm really worried about. And if I could, you correct me if I'm wrong. Short answer is contingency all comes back. The payment bond and insurance, those are expenses. Those are paid. They don't come back to us. Oh.
Thanks, guys.
He's not saying anything, so I must have been right.
Good job, Chief.
Thanks.
Good job, everybody.
Mr. Mayor.
By the way, I just want to thank everybody. There's a lot of work went into this that no one will ever see and know about, including Councilman Barry. He was a large part in the meetings and stuff. So a great teamwork with Crossland and our staff and Councilman Barry. So thank all of you for the work you put in.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move to accept the bids from the lowest qualified bidders as presented and accept guaranteed maximum price proposal from Crossland Construction for Fire Station 2, bid package 2, in the amount of $4,091,959 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreements with Crossland.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
11, information technology, which I can't say very well, network support and managed service agreement. Craig Brown.
Good evening. We're bringing this item forward because we have gone through some reviews and discovered that we do not have a formalized agreement with our managed service provider, OneSource Technologies. we're taking this opportunity to kind of clarify the service levels and everything so that we can be clear about everything as we go forward. We talk about the levels of service, what the priorities are, and what the specific areas of support are in this area. And this will allow us to be much more clear as we go forward in how we work with this service provider. Anyway, so I guess that's in a nutshell the short answer or short version of it. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
So Craig, I wish you the best at your retirement. That's not really a question, but I hope you enjoy your second retirement, right? Or third, I can't remember.
Second.
So I do have a question about Appendix C, Craig. It says wireless networks on all city sites, and it's got a dash. Does that mean they're not going to handle that, or they're going to handle that?
Last page.
Yeah, last page, sorry. It says device and support and services supported.
It is supported. It's simply, there's not a quantifiable unit. It's
Okay.
just, it's a blob.
Okay.
They're going to support the blob.
So if our wireless went down here at City Hall,
Yes.
they'd be able, okay. That's all.
Yes.
That was my only question. So.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So again, Craig, congratulations on this, on retirement. So will this be replacing Craig in a sense, or, I mean, are we still gonna?
I'll handle that because that's a little weird question for Craig probably. Much like when we hired Craig, we will go through a period of time where we will lean on OneSource to be essentially our IT director. We're going to take a little bit of time. You all are aware there's several kind of dominoes that need to fall in terms of privatizing the venue or not, hiring a event director or something else. And all of this will help us have a little bit more clear picture of what kind of salary we have available when we do go out to recruit for this position, hopefully in the beginning of 23. But until that time, we will need a lot of support because use technology every single day, every single hour. So this will get us through that. And hopefully it'll be a short-term situation, but it should support us in all of our needs. They're well, OneSource knows everything that Craig's been working towards in terms of keeping us up to date and strategic planning for the next year to 2 years so that no matter how long that Band-Aid has to be, we should be in good place. Does that answer the question?
For the most part.
Okay. I guess I'll comment. The last time we did this, Craig, I've said many times, the stars aligned the second time we did a search, but we've been through an IT search in the last 8 years and come up without a candidate. So this is not a necessarily easy position to fill. So I guess if I seem cagey or like I don't have a date to say we'll have an IT director, it's because it's a much harder job market than it was in 2014, 2015. And this wasn't a very easy position to fill the first time. It's a lot of technical knowledge with a small group of candidates to apply.
And so then we're confident OneSource is gonna be our IT then director in the interim, so to speak? Kind of a white glove, if
Yes,
you will?
and as I stated, they did this when we hired Craig. So the previous IT director resigned fourth quarter 2014. And I was fortunate enough to have the city administrator resign at the same time. So I was interim without an IT director, which was terrifying. But OneSource did an excellent job. It was relatively seamless. The things that you get with an IT director that are so valuable come budget season, that strategic thinking, that planning, that looking into years in the future, 3 to 5 years. And that's where we'll want to be sure that we're continuing to look towards that future.
And I guess just with the project that we just approved for the fire station and such, but IT stuff with that project, well, then they used OneSource for that stuff and.
Craig has worked with OneSource in the design of both buildings, so those OneSource folks have been at the table since we started talking about the IT design.
Great. Thanks, Craig. It's awesome it seems like you're putting us in good hands and in a great position. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we've got a history with OneSource that goes back to 2006 when they bought the previous service company, which goes back into the 90s. So technically, they've got over 20 years with the city in one role or another. And we have worked very hard over the last few years to upgrade into what I would consider an industry standard architecture, such that anybody coming in would recognize it and be able to pick up and go with it. And whether it's an internal employee doing the work and the business planning, as Jenny mentions, or whether we're bringing in one source to augment the labor, it's all in place and ready to go forward. And they've got the history and experience with us that makes us very confident that it'll be a good fit.
Thanks, Craig.
Mr. Mayor. Craig, it's been a pleasure. Sorry to see you go, for sure. I was here before Craig, and the previous director was pretty exceptional too, but I will say that Craig brought us to the future from where we were at before, completely revamped everything and did what a great IT director does. It's been a completely 180, I guess, from where we were at before, as far as management of all the servers and the computers and the radios and everything else. It was just really good, and I'm going to be sad to see you go. And also, as far as an IT director, I mean, OneSource is an IT service provider, right? So a director, as Jenny said, is completely different. It's all about understanding the future of the city, where we're going, planning for, being creative with how we're going to grow the IT needs of the city. So I don't expect OneSource to do any of that. It's really maintaining and keeping up with what we have today, maybe a little bit of addition or whatever, but it's not a director. So I would never say they're replacing the director. They're just doing IT service. Sound right, Craig? Yeah. I think
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Not only that, he's kept us up on the cybersecurity stuff, because I know you think about it more than I do, but I think about it continually because it's like you said, and we've talked about, it's not if or when, but thank you for your service to this city. I appreciate it.
What's next? Are you just done? You gonna travel?
I am done.
Okay.
We've
He's
got
gonna be
the
at Ronnie's house
motorhome
setting up
loaded
everything.
and ready to go.
Mr. Mayor.
Are you on call for everybody?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the network support and managed service agreement with OneSource Technology Incorporated, Wichita, Kansas.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's timely to remind everyone that we do have a come and go reception on Thursday at 1:00. So anyone that can come, we'd love for you to stop by and say goodbye in that capacity.
All right. Park maintenance. I'm kind of confused. 12, park maintenance. 12-1. Addition to park maintenance building proposal.
Mr. Mayor and Council, on the April 29 tornado, we lost several buildings, smaller buildings, outbuildings that we use for storage in the park. We stored everything from fertilizers to wood shop areas, and had a little area where we could build stuff out of a wood shop and some things like that. We lost a little over 3,000 square feet, albeit it wasn't the most perfectly laid out 3,000 square feet. We were dealing with what we had that we had, inherited when we got the park. Staff did a pretty good job of that, but so we started evaluating how are we going to replace that, and we kind of had an idea, a general idea what we wanted. We sought proposals. We got 3 proposals back. The original building manufacturer was Suburban Buildings out of Andover. This is hindsight, it's a wood structure, metal skin building. It's not a lot of fanciness to it. It's pretty simple construction as construction goes. And they proposed the lowest price, and being that they were the original contractor on it, probably is a good option to go ahead and do the extension that they recommend. We also, as another separate item, we propose adding a lean-to. We feel like this lean-to gives us not enclosed building space, but a lot of area to store stuff at a lower rate of cost. It doesn't have a concrete floor, but they can still go out there and do light maintenance on the equipment. It'll keep the equipment from being in the weather, in the sun, which can wear on some of this equipment quite hard. Will help extend our tire lives in some of our equipment. And hopefully, if we have another storm, help keep us from having to have 18 vehicles get totaled in one spot. Not saying if we take a direct hit by a tornado, that's going to stop it in this case, but a decent storm, we feel like we get some protection from it. Either way, this dollar amount does include $15,000, much like when you build a home. If you've ever built a home, you get a builder's contingency type dollar for certain work. They're going to cover up to the first $15,000 as part of this to electrical. We don't expect it to come up more than that. The HVAC work is going to be very limited because it's just part of this is doing a little office expansion inside, and we just need to add some duct work from our existing system in there, so it should be relatively inexpensive. By doing these two projects, we will be able to return some of the money that was that the city recovered from insurance proceeds back to whatever we choose to do with the lodge or other things in the park. So we're not spending all the money that was insurance is paying for the loss of those other storage buildings, but feel like we're getting a better storage capability and use for us than what we had in the past, and it'll do us some good for the future going forward. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Will the lean-to be built such that if you ever decided to close it in, it'd be doable, or is it necessary?
I don't really anticipate the need to close it in. Hopefully 4 or 5 years from now, we're building another community center. And if you remember part of the 13th Street Sports Project, Park Project, phase 3, I guess, or call it 2, whatever when they build that is to remodel the current ACC into a storage, and we'll put some big doors up in that and give us some more indoor storage over there. So probably won't need it in the near future, but it will allow us to store a lot of equipment. It's okay being out. The sun gets kind of hard on it.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the proposal from Suburban Buildings Incorporated, Andover, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $110,821 and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for a building expansion at the park maintenance facility.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 12-2, new lean-to in the park maintenance yard proposal.
And this is the lean-to that I mentioned in the previous item. I kind of got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. This lean-to will allow us to do quite a bit of storage in there and some equipment, like I previously said. In the instance of keeping this short, I won't repeat myself from previously. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Rick, just on the picture of the proposed lean-to, that's not the actual, I realize the measurements, I think it's 20 by 100, right?
Yeah,
That little box is not covering the 20 by 100, right?
I drew that on GIS and I thought it was, but let me look and see what actually came out.
It just doesn't look like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only going to be like 9 cars underneath it then?
Oh, that's about 100 feet.
Okay.
You can get about 10 in there, 10 vehicles or a combination of pieces of equipment and so forth in this.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the proposal from Suburban Buildings Incorporated, Andover, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $36,714 and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the construction of a lean-to at the park maintenance facility.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 13 sewer manhole rehab. And Rick's gonna talk about this as well.
So a while back, we awarded a contract or a proposal. We accepted a proposal from that's who we're wanting to move to, Utility Solutions. And in the meantime, they went kind of quiet on us and we found out that they were going out of business and then such has since gone out of business. We went back to Mayor to see if they would honor their original proposals and they said they would. You'll notice that we're going down, which if you're, if they were not the low bid, why is it going down? Well, Sean Spear, your assistant manager of the wastewater utility who oversees the collection system primarily, feels like he's identified a different way to maintenance two of the manholes. It could be a savings that wasn't in unit prices on this and is wanting to delay that until either later next year when we do a project. So that's really the only reason it went down. It's still their original unit cost that they had. It's just two less manholes that drove that cost down. I would also say that Mayor Specialties is who's done it primarily for us most of the time. In the past, we may be finding that we're working ourselves into a single source on this. With Utility Solutions bowing out, we may find we only get one bid in the future years, but we'll put it out and see what happens.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I do want to just, Rick, make sure you pass it on to your team at the wastewater we appreciate, as much in the times we are that, we're having change orders and stuff goes up. I think this is the second or third time that I've heard the wastewater helping save some money. Now, whether it's getting adjusted down the road, I just, with the sludge press and that kind of stuff, taking that work internally. I mean, I think that speaks highly of you with the planning and that department with, the staff that we have there. So tell them that's much appreciated. We like to think of those cost savings and appreciate them doing that.
I will. They do a great job. You are dead on.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the proposal from Mayor's Specialty Services, Goddard, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $32,342 to perform the sewer manhole rehabilitation.
Any further discussion?
As
I
far
will say, since the opportunity's here, that Brian, much like Craig Brown, has brought this sewer plant from when I was in it to light years ahead in reality and what things should be look like and ran like. It's really phenomenal what he's done. So,
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything legal wise that Jessica or JT that we have to repeal the other approval or anything like that?
I'm trying to understand the question. What approval are you referring to?
The previous one with
Utility
Solutions. But since they're out of business, we don't have to do anything.
There's no one to even communicate with. Is that correct? Normally, if there was some place we could even send a letter to indicate that we view that relationship as having been terminated, we would do that. But in this circumstance, it's my understanding that there's no one left to even communicate with.
Okay.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Mayoral appointments. It only took me 3 years to learn how to say that. Site Plan Review Committee. Justin's going to talk to us.
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening again, Mayor and Council. This is the first of two mayoral appointments that I have for you this evening. The first is with the Site Plan Review Committee. Staff is recommending the appointment of Mr. Kevin Graham to the SPRC to fill the vacancy left by Dr. David Foley. The term is set to expire in January 2025. When full, the Site Plan Review Committee consists of 6 members serving staggered 3-year terms. The SPRC currently consists of 5 members. Per the Unified Development Manual, the site plan review committee members must have experience or education in fields like architectural design, civil engineering, construction, urban planning, those types of fields. Mr. Graham brings experience in civil engineering in both residential and commercial projects, so I think he would be a great fit for the site plan review committee. With the departure of Dr. Foley and the addition of Mr. Graham, the site plan review committee will be 5 members. So we're not gaining a member, we're just staying at 5 members. So that concludes my presentation for this appointment, and I'm available for any questions.
Justin, did Kevin participate in the Activate Andover?
He did. I'm glad you brought
charrettes?
that up. He was very involved in the citywide charrettes. We had a 3-day citywide charrette process as part of the comprehensive plan last week, and Mr. Graham was actively involved in all 3 of those meeting dates.
Mr.
It's very safe to say he's very versed in what we're doing in Andover in regards to construction and stuff too. Isn't that right?
Absolutely, yes. He's very well versed and he's very eager to have public service in the community. He's spoken with me about that personally on multiple occasions. So we're very excited to have him.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the resignation of Dr. David Foley and approve the appointment of Mr. Kevin Graham to the Site Plan Review Committee to a term set to expire in January 2025.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 14-2, mayoral appointment, planning commission.
So staff is recommending the appointment of Dr. David Foley to the Planning Commission to fill the role of outgoing member Brian Davidson. You may recognize Dr. Foley's name from the previous resignation from the Site Plan Review Committee. So basically, we're bumping Dr. Foley to the Planning Commission. The term is set to expire in January 2025. And when full, the Planning Commission consists of 7 members serving staggered 3-year terms. 2 of those members are required to live outside of the city limits in the planning area. Dr. David Foley does live outside of the city limits in the planning area, so that's a huge benefit to him joining the Planning Commission, is that now we will have 6 members on the Planning Commission, 2 of whom will be members that live in the city's planning area. Dr. David Foley has served on the Site Plan Review Committee since 2020. So he is well versed in our programs and our committees. And we are very excited to have him on board on the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the resignation of Mr. Brian Davidson and approve the appointment of Dr. David Foley to the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals to a term set to expire in January 2025.
Second, Troy.
And we have every reason to believe Dr. Foley's just as suitable for this as he is for the site plan committee, maybe even more so.
Yes, absolutely. He's a very valued member of the Site Plan Review Committee, always has a lot of great comments. So I think he was very well versed for this position as well.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 13th Street Sports Park Construction Management Selection Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I just have one question on those 2 appointments, Justin. Are they now full, both of them, or site plan now is missing one and planning and zoning's full?
Yes, site plan is missing one and planning commission is missing one as well. So technically we're gaining 1 member out of the 2 groups. Site plan is remaining the same at 5 members. We're constantly looking for that 6th member. And the planning commission, we're looking for that 7th member. So if you have recommendations, please, I'm open at any time.
And does the 6th member of site plan have to be in the planning area or in the city, either one of those?
The site plan review committee is less restrictive than the planning commission. So no, we'd be happy to take anybody for the site plan review committee that is qualified, whether they live in the planning area or they live within the city limits.
Thank you.
All right. 14-3, 13th Street. I said that already. Rick, go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as we discussed last night at the workshop, we have an RFQ out for a construction manager at risk for the 13th Street Sports Park project. With time being a little bit of an essence on this, as we discussed previously, and the volatility that's in the construction market right now, staff is getting concerned that we could potentially have a bid opening with one or maybe less bidders, or exceed our budget and have to go back to the drawing board pretty late in the game. And as time is a little bit of an essence on this, and as we sat back and watched the successes of the fire station project and it keeping it on track, we have decided we would like to at least investigate this. So part of this process is, after we get all the qualifications in, those that submit their qualifications in, on Thursday, the 27th, starting on November 1, a selection committee would kind of narrow that down to whoever they want to actually have come in and do an interview with. And then a selection committee would meet the week of November 7th, set up meetings with these companies, go through the selection process, enter into negotiations. I would point out that the ultimate authority to award the contract remains the governing body. That would be brought at a later council meeting, and the governing body could either choose to accept or reject it at that time if they so choose. Staff members on the selection committee would be Daniel Shapaw, Austin Yance, myself, Kirsten Barnes, Ronnie Price, Jennifer McCausland, and Lance Onstock. And non-staff members in the proposal would be Mayor Ronnie Price and the PRAB Vice Chair Kirsten Barnes. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer it.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one question.
Go ahead, Tim.
Rick, I think I asked you this last night workshop. When did you send the RFQs out?
They went out about a week and a half ago.
Okay. And so you're just giving them 2 weeks to,
Well, 2 weeks. The RFQ is a pretty limited
okay.
process. They don't have to go through a lot. Then they'd have about a week to put together their proposal and come in and do their proposal.
Okay. Chief Russell, how long did we give, do you remember off the top of your head how long we gave them,
I don't.
It just seems like a very short window for them to get their presentations and everything going, Rick. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, it is.
I know we're
It
in
is.
a short time frame, but to get the best qualified, presentation from these folks, you're asking a lot from these guys for just 1 week.
Councilman Barry?
Yeah.
Wade's telling me we did 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
fire
Okay, well,
station.
never mind. Strike that.
There you have it, right?
Mr. Mayor.
It seems short to me as well, so, yes, sir.
And wasn't, Kirsten, wasn't she involved in maybe another park, maybe in a different city at some point? I feel like on the Parks Rec Advisory Board, when we did that planning, she had some experience with that. Is that right?
She was a recreation, maybe a parks and recreation director of a pretty good sized city in the St. Louis metro area. I can't recall the name of it, but yeah, she has a pretty good wealth of experience in the park and recreation. And she's been a pretty good asset on the PRAB too. Yes. Thank
Even,
you.
she's even been over ice skating rinks, swimming pools, the whole gamut. She's really sharp lady. And I think she's somewhat involved in that kind of thing to this day, but more limited basis. But
Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
I move to approve the mayor's appointment of himself and Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Vice Chairperson Kirsten Barnes to the 13th Street Sports Park Construction Manager at Risk Selection Committee.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Do us proud, Mayor.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 15, executive session, 15-1, land acquisition, KSA 75-4319B6.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to recess into executive session for the discussions relating to the acquisition of real property per KSA 75-4319B6. Session to include governing body, city attorney and staff, city administrator, community development director, and assistant city administrator, and resume an open session at 8:10.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the Director of Community Development to offer Anchor Patel the just compensation to purchase property for the street right-of-way for parcel R23686 for the West Founders Parkway Improvement Project.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the Director of Community Development to offer Kolar Poth LC the just compensation to purchase property for the street right-of-way for parcel R23689 for the West Founders Parkway Improvement Project.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the Director of Community Development to offer George B. Howell Revocable Trust the just compensation to purchase property for the street right-of-way for parcel R23691 for the West Founders Parkway Improvement Project.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. That's it, right? All right. Member items, we'll start with Homer this evening.
Well, I mean, I have a couple things. Just an update real quick from the Long-Term Recovery Committee and where the city is with replacing stuff from the tornado. The fencing for the dog park in Central Park is expected to be installed in about a month. Materials have started to arrive and it took a few months for the orders to come in. So that'll be here shortly. Andover City staff members have been and continue to work with the various consultants to determine the direction of the lodge and the main public gathering business in Central Park. The lodge was fully demolished in Central Park a few months ago. The city lost a total of 18 vehicles in the storm. 10 new trucks have arrived and another one is on its way from the factory. One of the vehicles has been repaired and another vehicle has been partially repaired and is waiting on additional parts, of course. Repairs and renovations for the park maintenance shop. We just approved tonight, so that's coming along well. Repairs have started at City Hall. Some of the glass windows were shattered during the storm. 70% of what was damaged has been replaced. Supply chains continue to affect the remaining 30% of the glass, and roof repairs have been approved by the city council and contracts to do that process. I think if you notice too, in one of the stairwells, the folks replacing the windows couldn't replace it. Their suggestion was to cut out part of the stairwell. So there's a pause on that window for repairing that panel. The Long-Term Recovery Committee has awarded a total of $122,146.08 to 29 families. Keep in mind that's from Sedgwick County and Andover as well, and Butler County. From the United Way of the Plains, Bob Mills, and Great Plains Disaster Fund is where those funds have come from. And then the other thing is the virtual open house for the comp plan is open through the 31st, I believe, and it's available at activateandover.com to go there and take a look at the housing, the 11 pages for the comp plan. Does that sound about right, Les and Jenny? And man, I tell you what, Sunday was windy. My daughter and I took a bike ride from our house north of 21st down to Teradyne. Took us about 35 minutes. She's 6 years old. On the way back, took us 15 minutes. It was so windy. I was like a sailboat just out there in the plains. So I enjoy the bike pedestrian path less. It's amazing. I love the fact that it's wide enough that even if she jogs a little bit to the left, she's not in too much danger of going into traffic or wrecking. So I really appreciate those, the big bike paths that we have going around the community. And that was a part of the charrettes too, I think, was a lot of part in talking about, the bike ped paths around town. So I enjoyed those charrettes. So Justin, thanks for getting that group down. Taylor, I think, did a great job, and I'll be interested to see what the final comp plan will be. So good things to come in the future, and excited for the fire station. So it's pretty cool stuff coming to Andover right now.
Thank you, Mr. Tabor. Oh, wait, thank you, Homer.
Nice. Joe, you have anything? No. Joey?
No items.
All right, I drove around 2 days ago, and it's amazing the recovery that's being done on these homes. Just absolutely amazing. From the 4 in Lantern Lane are not going up, but the groundwork's been done, the basement stuff's been done. Andover Heights, Mike can speak to this a little better than I can, but it's coming along. And Reflection Lakes is just booming. And I went through Prairie Creek Addition down there, and it's amazing how far they've come as well. So, man, it's amazing the job that y'all have done with to your point, to the recovery and stuff. It's really coming along much faster than I even imagined could happen. So I'm glad about that. And Rick, would you tell the folks that are doing that street rehab, man, they go above and beyond the call of duty, helping us get in and out of our property. It's just amazing. I got a compliment on it. It was on Andover Chatter or one of those things. And she was just saying, man, they go out of their way to make sure we can get in our property. Of course, you never know how many times a day I might come up and down my street, but they just bend over backwards to move literally piles of dirt. If they see somebody coming, they'll stop and say, hey, I couldn't imagine them being that willing to work with us to get in and out of our property, because really they didn't have to, but they do way above and beyond.
I will do so. I would say those projects are kind of hard when you're redoing a street in an existing subdivision, but the public out there, I know they've had to deal with some pretty bad streets for a long time, but they've been very appreciative. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And of course, of all places for their concrete asphalt deal to break down was right in front of the mayor's house. So I'm sure they were, and then we got the rain. So then we had a nice little mud run, which I like because I have a 4-wheel drive, so I didn't care, but they really are fantastic. And Daniel, I hate to put you on the spot. Can you talk to us a little bit about the drums that are coming in from, oh, never mind. I'm sorry. Never mind. Thank you, Susan. Wow. I'm sorry. It's fine. I was on the phone with her the other day. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Forget I said anything, Daniel. You look very handsome tonight. All right, Troy.
I can't follow that up.
Troy Tabor was asking about.
Nice. I'm good, thank you.
I guess I just want to say thank you to Chief Russell and his team. In the last couple of weeks, it's been extremely dangerous for your guys. I know you guys have been kind of running in and out a lot. So thank you. And, I wish they would have stayed around. I would have said it to them while they were here. And of course, Buck, same with your team. You guys are doing you and your officers you're doing well too. But here lately with the dry, windy grass fires everywhere, I don't know what happened today. Was there another house fire? I just saw everybody flying out of the station. So
we had a reported house fire in the Green Valley neighborhood, and it was an appliance malfunction that overheated, and everybody is safe and very minor damage.
Awesome. So yeah, I just saw everybody taking it, as I was coming down Andover Road, they're flying, which is great, but it's like, oh crap, something major is happening. So Andover Central High, unfortunately, I don't know much about Andover High, but Andover Central High has had several sub-state and state winners so far. Soccer, I don't know how they did tonight, but soccer, tennis did great, doubles and singles. I'm missing a couple other too. I can't remember, but Andover Central has been producing a lot of state winners. I know Andover High has produced a lot of state winners. So, Andover's moving and shaking. We're producing some great athletes. We're producing some great scholars. But that's all I have. Oh, a new street sweeper arrived today. So most of y'all saw it out there. People watching, listening. When you see it on the road, honk and wave at it. It's a great great investment for our city. It's wonderful to be able to say that we are able to purchase brand new equipment like that. So
I wonder if we can wrap it, because this is white right now, and
Yeah.
some kind of nice graphics
I
that
know a guy.
promotes something within the city.
That's a good idea, Mr. Tabor.
I think
Mr.
we
I mean, you could do so many cool
the only
things.
reason because we talked about that right before.
Shut up. Are you
Yeah. I was thinking we could sell sponsorships for it, and just wrap it with a realtor's face or something, and charge $50K or something. I don't know.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I did have one more thing. Do you mind? Les, in the staff memos, you said phase 1 of the 54 project is maybe stalled or paused. Can you go into maybe more detail on that as far as?
I can't go into a lot of detail, but the selection of the Progressive Design Build contractor was paused for a minute by KDOT. They're going to re-review those proposals.
And that's the one where it was Nebraska, one from Kansas, and one from Missouri?
3 contractors, Wichita, Overland Park, and Minnesota.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is that going to delay it then, Les? I mean, have they pushed it back now?
It may have a slight delay, but again, that NEPA clearance is the schedule hitch right at the moment.
And that's January? Your
They're
memo said?
expecting January, yes.
And then on the North Andover Road from Ira Court to
Redbud Trail.
Redbud Trail, that was stalled because they cut a Cox line?
There was a Cox cable that hadn't been located for engineering. Contractor found it doing the excavation for the widening and sidewalk work. And there were some delays there on Cox's part, but we were able to work around it by closing Aaron Street for a couple of weeks.
And so we're still on pace then for, your memo said November, December. It was supposed to be the beginning of November, right?
Yes, it's really going to be nip and tuck if we can beat the weather to have 50-degree surface temperatures to do the milling and overlay and striping for the new asphalt. Worst case, the milling, asphalt and striping may have to be done later in the spring. Worst case. We're hoping we have this mild winter for just a few more weeks.
Okay. Thanks, Les.
I'm sorry, you done?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Warrington, you have anything you'd like to share with us this evening?
I just want to ditto what Tim had said on the fire department, all their hard work on all the many fires that they've had going on this last week or two. So good job, Chief.
I'll let them know. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I wanted to share something we found out this afternoon that was a huge relief to staff. When we presented the budget to you and submitted it to the county, we had estimated how much we, truly a guess, educated guess, how much abatement of property value there would be. So we had adjusted what we had thought the valuation would come in at. There's always that risk. Did we underestimate? Did we overestimate? Could it cause a huge spike or a huge drop in our mill levy? Well, we finally got our answer today. We did darn good. The mill levy was published at 43.831. The actual is going to be 43.727, a reduction of 0.104. So we hit the sweet spot on our estimate.
Very good. Thank you.
And Chief Russell has $839 that he could help with that as well, right?
Nice.
Well, while we're on the subject of size of relief, last Wednesday, you may have heard it from City Hall, the huge sigh of relief when KDOT bid the 159th Street improvements. You remember we had terrible news for you a month ago with the KDOT estimate of that project at 8,200,000 and change. It bid for 5,500,000. So we're back down to the estimate that we had budgeted around. Next council meeting, we'll have that authority to award document for your approval to move that project on to construction.
Very good. A lot of good news, right? A lot of good news. Just have to keep pushing, right? So, all right. Can I get a motion to
Miss-
adjourn?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.